So I do want to I want to get to some super chat questions, but before we do that, there's no I'm not anything like smooth enough to come up with a natural transition here from the Super Bowl. But since you brought it up when we were talking about topics to chat about tonight, and I do think it's important. And there's a right and a wrong way to do this. We'll see what we do, but our good friend Jimmy Dore had somebody from an organization called the Boogaloo Boys on his show a while back.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know what the Boogaloo Boys are because my wife is low-key obsessed with with right-wing extremist weirdos, and she'll tell me all these things about them. I always just say like the running joke here is she'll say, because she thinks they're really dangerous and threatening, and she'll say, you blah 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 about the Boogaloo Boys, and I'll say, well, if they want me to take them seriously, they need a better name.
War II, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. So
which we watched with Derek Varn. Jean's Wi-Fi went out. It was like me, Pascal, Derek Varn, and Dan Larson from Toy Galaxy. I made them watch the breakdance battle from Electric 2 Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo on fucking air. That shit was hilarious.
That's awesome. So, and then, whatever you think about that decision, and I'm not particularly interested in getting into, to that.
Mm-hmm.
But the defense of this, I think is interesting, and I think is worth thinking about because, look, I think I won't I don't want to equivocate about this. I think I'm pretty on record as saying that Jimmy Dore is very dumb and very unhelpful. But whatever you make of that issue, then I think
that my take's a little more angry and violent. But yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So the defense of it, I think, is really interesting and really worth talking about because the defense, was, look, I think, again, on Jimmy Dore in general, I think the most polite way I can put it is the way I put a couple weeks ago to Katie Halper when she was on here, which is that I think that there are productive forms of outrage and there are counterproductive forms of outrage, right? That's.
What did she say when you said that?
I don't remember if she directly responded to that part. I mean, that's not any kind of dig at Katie. It was just like a lot was going on in that conversation, and not everybody always picks up every thread of everything.
What's funny? She retweeted my show where I asked that Boogaloo Boy question to Fred Hampton's lawyers.
Yeah, so this is what I want to get to because the defense of it, I think, is almost worse than the thing itself. Is the defense of it is Fred Hampton, and we'll talk about about who he is, but I mean this is somebody that I think if you want to know your 20th century American radical history, you should know who this is.
Yes.
Fred Hampton worked with, and this was the phrase that was used, this white supremacist organization, the Young Patriots.
White bigots, I think, is the
white bigots is what they say.
Yeah, which it's even like a milquetoast way of calling them racist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it goes back to what Jason was calling attention to at the discussion with Adam, conflating being a racist with just conflating racism with just kind of being an asshole.
I hate that.
It's like, oh yeah, no, whatever. Like it's like your friend who you're a little embarrassed by. It's like, yeah, it's an asshole. Like that's
it's kind of fascisty when he drinks.
So this is, to put it mildly, not a historically accurate depiction of what that organization about or its basis for Hampton working with them. And I think this is also something that, beyond setting the historical record straight, has strategic implications to think about. Forrest, do you have the clip?
Yeah. Hold on.
You're gonna play the clip? Damn, you're gonna make me double mad. Okay.
No, this isn't a clip.
Of, yeah, I got it. Hold
on. This isn't a clip of Dora. This is a clip of a documentary about the event that's being misrepresented.
Oh, okay? Yeah, that's actually the PBS documentary.
It's in the Chicago Film Archives. It's not the PBS one. It's
it's not from the PBS documentary. It's the
one Briscoe watched. So
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a 9-minute cut of different stuff, so we can stop it and break it down if you want, like parts of it.
Sure. Yeah. Let's just start watching it and get a little bit into it.
Okay.
The Young Patriots. They're just young street guys who are doing things. And
what do we want to do? We want to stop getting hassled. We want to have our office. We want to do our thing without, getting hassled by the cops. We want to get all together.
I sat in jail for 2 years, man. And
I thought, telling me we got to get them.
I did a lot of thinking, man. And the thinking is that there's a rich man, man. And a rich man all the time got to have a dog to kick, Right. And that's us, brother. That's us.
We're the dog.
We're the doggies kicking, man.
Like my mother, she pays $30 rent for 2 rooms. She pays $20 on groceries, and she's got $10 left to get back and forth to work, and that ain't shit.
Okay, I want to fight, man, but I don't think that you can deal with the man on his terms. There's sometimes when you've got to go in, you can say nonviolent, and then up to a certain extent, you have to use violence. You got to use your wits, man. Everybody got wits. Right. Everybody got some smarts. See, one of the things that's good about the Young Patriots is there's different kind of people in it other than Southern. We've got Spanish, Indian, Italian, some blacks in Roberta.
Right. Roberta's the cool head. Where does he come from?
Cuba.
We even got a Cuban guy. Can't understand English, but he can talk anyway.
See, and they're all interested in the problems they got here. And they want to change them. What we have to do now is pull ourselves together into a functioning group of people who can go out and rebel against them. I'll tell you what, man. Get a guy clean with
That's dangerous. We'll
tear him apart with our hands, man. And we'll put it through your guys. Okay, give us direct credit for this change.
I don't know you people. You people don't know me. I'm from the Young Patriots on the north side. You people here are middle class whites.
Oh, God, we've gone through this too much. I'm tired of it, man. Just tell us what you don't like. We really.
Now, y'all think the cops are supposed to protect you and all this good shit. But we want to get all these people together so we can fight together. Y'all can join us. Y'all can fight. We want proper housing for the poor people. We want proper jobs for the people that have no education to get jobs. The right payment. We want decent housing so people can live. People that's got 9 children, their father can't work. That's what we want. That's what I'm here to talk to you about tonight.
Yeah, but Johnny, you see, we have 2 candidates who come here. One man is waiting here a long time. He has to speak.
Well, I've been waiting all my life.
Right? Well, what they're trying to say is that their problems are your problems too, lady. Would you guys consider organizing along Black Panther? Well, hell yes, man.
What did he ask right there? I couldn't hear him.
No exploitation.
What did he ask?
He asked if they would consider joining up with the Black Panthers and organizing.
Okay, that is what he asked.
Yeah.
Okay,
so this is the meeting in which the first Black Panther representative that was there met the Young Patriots. They met at this meeting where they were trying to appeal to like the bourgeois white liberals in Chicago in order to like defend parts of their community from being built up by like developers and
gentrification.
Mm-hmm. And so they're meeting to try to get help from these bourgeois middle class liberals, or like moderate liberals, I guess, in the community, and they end up linking up with the Black Panthers. So this clip kind of goes into that. I cut like small pieces out of out of this documentary
Okay.
to put them into kind of a thing.
Yeah. So, okay.
I mean,
Did you want to say something, Ben?
Oh no, sorry. I just so yeah, I think that I think this what we've watched, gives people a little bit of a flavor of what this organization was was actually about, and this claim. I mean, we should talk a little bit about Fred Hampton and the project, political project he was pursuing in Chicago, and the kind of coalition that he was putting together. But even though it's certainly like, I think that that it is true that the Young Patriots, that they used some Confederate flag imagery at one point, which was certainly a bad choice and one that they later stopped doing.
At the behest of the Panthers.
Right.
There's a scene at the end of this documentary where one of the leaders of the Young Patriots kind of explains what he thinks the Confederate flag means, and it's definitely not the way that it's used by racist Southerners.
I mean, I think I told Ben this before. I haven't said it. Good to meet you, Forrest. We've never met in internet life, so
yeah.
good to meet you, brother. I worked in the South. I'm a native Californian, and I went and worked on oil rigs in the South, and it's the deepest fucking part of the South. So I worked with some guys that were in the Klan, and I saw a fuck ton of Confederate flag tattoos, and they all have them for the same reason. They'll say tradition. This is where I'm from. They don't really see anything wrong or racist about it because they don't understand the history.
Right.
Well, I live
exactly, and like, so I think that conflating that kind of ignorance or just sort of not like completely of like not really understanding the history, or maybe even being like oblivious to how other people what other people would get out of that symbol, conflating that with it being used as like a defiant as like a defiant emblem of white supremacism.
It's the rebel flag, brother. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the biggest, like, I'm a badass, I got the rebel flag on. So you can imagine those dudes in their minds are like, these brothers got these black leather jackets. Imagine what that looked like in 1965. Well, we're gonna rock these Confederate flags because we some badasses. And then when these cats have that meeting of the minds and they go, oh, okay. If it's offensive, okay.
There's also the part that a lot of people are coming out of Appalachia at the time and moving to Chicago because that's where the opportunities were.
Yeah.
And there was this very conscious effort to recruit a lot of those young white Southerners before racists could get to them. Mm-hmm. Using imagery they'd understand, like emblems they'd understand, using Southern like a lot of like obviously Southern like language and rhetoric and symbols to try to bring those people in and say, we understand you, we're from the same place, but actually class is a much more defining relationship to where you stand than race is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is important to get into because it's, and again, I'm much less bothered. I'm not big on platform taboos to begin with. Like I think now I do think that if you're going to have somebody on who has crazy views, you should at least argue with them. But that's the aspect of it that bothers me much less than retconning the history of Fred Hampton.
Very insulting.
Who's obviously it's a massive insult to Hampton, who's really like a martyr for radical politics at the time. So if for people who don't know who he was, this is, I mean, I'll turn it over to Jason to say more in a second, but I mean, this is a Black Panther leader in Chicago who was murdered by the police, the FBI.
Yeah.
Like in a really like in an astonishing way. So like Aaron Sorkin did this movie which, you know, the politics of the movie were terrible, the trial of the Chicago 7, but this is one thing that he got right in that movie. You know, when they alluded to this, that there was literally he was shot by the police while he was asleep in bed in his apartment, and part of the reason that he was seen as so threatening, you know, to the powers that be in Chicago at that time was precisely because of this. I think actually a couple decades before the Jesse Jackson campaigns, he used the phrase "Rainbow Coalition."
Yes.
Of different forces that he was putting together, but this is a coalition that did not include any white supremacists, for God's sake. No,
and talking to his lawyers who were there, and they weren't just his lawyers like after the fact. They went down to Chicago. I forget where they were from to go help this movement. And Fred Hampton had got arrested for stealing ice cream and distributing it to kids in the neighborhood. And he was in jail for that, and they helped him get out of that.
This is the most famous Fred Hampton clip, I guess, that everybody quotes wrongly. I mean, politicians love to quote it wrongly, but this is from the trial, his ice cream trial.
Oh, you got a quote from that?
Well, this is the famous class solidarity speech that he gave in the middle of his trial.
So apparently that's from a mock trial. I started with my show off with that, and those guys got into that whole thing about, because they were there when that went down.
We should retitle the episode with that line about dig in with a little logic.
I didn't know it was a mock trial.
Yes, I didn't know till the people that was there told me. So
because if that was a trial, like that would have been a serious mind.
A tricky Dickie Nixon. My favorite, I found this. So before these guys come on my show, I went down a Fred Hampton rabbit hole, right? Probably as Forrest did as well, trying to find these clips. And you're kind of shocked at the footage that's on the guy that was only alive for 21 years.
Yeah.
But what an amazing organizer. Before he even joined the Black Panther Party, he like quadrupled the membership from like 6,000 to 20-some thousand people for an NAACP chapter when he was a teen. The man had a way of speaking to so many people at once, right? That's why he's so frightening. And what to me is more interesting is the way he looked at SDS. So when the Jimmy Dores of I hate saying his name, when the Jimmy Dores of the world kind of have this, not even Pollyanna-ish, kind of like it's just as approach to class and class politics. But they don't look at that clip where SDS is supposed to be a bunch of Marxists as well. And in this clip is where I learned the term custoristic. Because Fred Hampton says that SDS's tactics were custoristic. And he goes on in the clip to say, and it's a great clip. It's like 11 minutes long. And it's this news guy trying to get the 10-second soundbite from Hampton. He wants Hampton to say, fuck SDS.
Right.
Hampton's not ever going to say fuck SDS, even though he might think fuck SDS, because he felt that their tactics were going to hurt innocent people. So when we look at the Boogaloo Boys and Jimmy Dore's, very childlike love for all people poor, we forget that people can get people hurt. My show is called This Is Revolution. It's a lyric from a song, man. I'm not trying to get nobody hurt over no bullshit. And one thing Fred Hampton says is we can't go up against the government with what we have. He goes, they have military type weapons that we can't fight. He goes, people are going to get hurt. We don't agree with SDS in that thinking.
Well, SDS,
I shouldn't say SDS. It was a weatherman. I'm sorry. It was the weatherman.
Yeah. Well, this is. I know way too much about like the org charts of like splitting and fusing socialist organizations. I really need to try to forget that. That's taking up space, but the at the SDS convention, I think in 1969, the weather faction sort of took over, although they lost the vote, but they kind of, like had, but I think they had like the keys to the office. And so, they kind of declared that they won the vote. And so what was SDS, like on a national level, became, the Weathermen. There were, I'm sure lots of like local chapters and stuff didn't go along with that, but then they, Custeristic is a really good word for it.
If you watch the clip, he's like, it's silly. He goes, it's folly, it's child's play. And when you hear him, you're just like, fuck.
Well,
because that exact thing, I think that's that sort of distinction. It's not that we don't want to, tear down the system and replace it with something better. We certainly do. But there's a difference between disagreeing between like moral disagreements, or even disagreements about political goals, and disagreements about strategy and tactics. And that line about the Weathermen, being Custeristic, is a good way of capturing that, right? It's not the question is not whether you agree with the radical goals. The question is what's going to accomplish that. And I think that's something that I think one of my, I don't want to give, honestly, I don't even want to give, Jimmy the oxygen of spending too much more time talking about him, but he has I think the thing that I often find most frustrating about him, or one of the things, and that whole style of left politics, is that it's all about conflating strategic and tactical disagreements with like moral perfidy and being a traitor and not having the same goals. And it's just so massively unhelpful that that if you want to win, what you should be thinking about is how are you going to get together the kind of coalition, the kind of vast majority that you would need to take on that system that otherwise would massacre you, like Custer's Last Stand. So the Hampton Rainbow Coalition, like that's a really good instinct, but it's just making us like a really, it's both kind of despicable and dishonoring the memory of that, but it's also just super unhelpful to caricature it as, oh, you're going to work with white supremacists and then they'll see the error of their ways eventually.